Hello everyone, welcome to Aptiplusss, the Academy for Civil Services. Today we are launching a new series for previous year questions, and this is part 1 of your series. As we know, previous year holds significant advantage and significant importance in your preparation, especially for the upcoming prelims, to identify the various themes, the pattern on which UPSC asks questions. So without wasting time, let us start this initiative. We also wanted to tell you about the plan, how this series will be executed. That is, each week we will be covering 3 PYQ videos, and starting from 20th March, that is today, we are launching this series, and it will be a course of 2 months. That is, by 20th May, largely your PYQs will be covered, and we are trying to cover almost 10 years of last prelims questions, and each video will also be around 20 to 15 minutes each. So without wasting time, let us move on with the questions. So first we are starting with the polity subject, and under this, the first theme we have taken on which recurring every year one question is asked, that is historical background. So question number 1, who was the provincial president of Constituent Assembly before Dr. Rajendra Prasad took over? Asked in 2024, that is the recent prelims. It is very basic question. Answer is Dr. Sachidanand Sinha, and it is a French practice to adopt the first president of any parliament as the eldest, whoever is the eldest person in that assembly. Later on, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as a permanent president. It's a French practice. Moving on to our next question, which of the following acts made Governor General of Bengal as Governor General of India? This was asked in 2023, and answer is Charter Act 1833. All the acts are very important, especially in the historical background chapter, Lakshmikant. All acts and their provisions are important. Let's look at the provisions of this 33 Act. What else has been done? First thing, it's a centralization step. This act, it made Governor General Bengal as a Governor General of India. It, for the first time, unified government of India was established. And who was the first Governor General of India? It was Lord William Bentinck. It also took away the legislative power of Bombay and Madras. Under this, one more thing was done, that is East India's commercial operations were ended and it became purely administrative activity. This is also very significant. And a new law member was also added to the Executive Council of Governor General, and this was not a permanent member but temporary member, and first such member was Lord Macaulay. And there was also a new rule and to end the racial discrimination. Moving on to our next question. With respect to Constitution Day, asked again 2 questions from historical background. Constitution Day is celebrated on 26th November every year. This is correct, to promote the constitutional value among citizens. On 26 November 1949, Constituent Assembly set up a drafting committee under chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar to prepare a draft constitution. This is incorrect because this committee, drafting committee, was formed in 1947, and then constitution was made, and finally it was adopted on 26 November 1949. And committee was formed in 47 before the adoption. So second statement is wrong. So in such a statement type question, the trick is you need to know at least one statement which is correct or incorrect, then you can come to the answer directly. The answer here is C. And constitution came into adoption date was 26 November 1949 and came into force, that is the day of commencement was 26 January 1950. And these are the provisions which are adopted on 26th November, because certain provisions of constitution came immediately into effect on 26th November itself, and these are provisions related to citizenship with election and provisional election, then provision related to president, vice president, to Supreme Court, High Court article related to CAG of India, that is Comptroller Auditor of General, and then transition provision to shift from Government of India Act 35 to the new constitution. So remember this list. This can also be asked in a question. Next is, in Government of India Act 1990, function of provincial government were divided into reserved and the transferred subject. Which of the following were called reserved subject? This was asked in 2022. And your answer is 1, 3 and 4. Local self-government was transferred in the hands of provincial governments. However, they were part of transferred subject, not reserved subject. Reserved subject are those subject on which the decision of Governor General of that presidency is final and taken on his discretion and not on the advice of the elected representatives. So answer here is administration of justice, land revenue and police. All the significant subjects were still under the control of your Governor General of the presidency. तो 1919 Acts क्यों famous है? For the diarchy in the provinces. It introduced diarchy, very important. And then two type of subjects were created. One is reserved, which will be controlled by governor and his executive council of bureaucrats. And another's are controlled by minister elected from legislative council. These are transferred subject. Now, which all subject were reserved? Law and order, police, land revenue, justice, finance, so all the important subjects. And health, education, local self-government were delegated to transferred subject. Next, questions are repeatedly asked from the concept of the constitution. So let's see, which one of the following statement best reflect the chief purpose of the constitution of the country? That it defines and limit the power of the government. This is also known as constitutionalism. This is to keep a check on absolute power of the state. Moving on, and this theme has been asked repeatedly. So constitution is a set of principles and laws that outline the structure and functioning of the state. It provides a social, legal and the political framework. It defines citizen right. It allocates and restricts government power. It is the very important purpose. And hence your answer will be C. Then what does due process of law, again asked in 2023, mean? It means principle of natural justice. Actually, all this, the procedure established by law, fair application of law and equality before law are part of this natural justice. तो इसमें से जो बहुत broader concept है, that is your principle of natural justice. ये सारे भी natural justice के principle हैं, but इसके components हैं. तो major theme पे हमें focus करना है. जो ज़्यादा broader यहाँ पे trick है applied कि जो ज़्यादा broader principle है, अगर आपको सारे सही लग रहे हैं तो जो ज़्यादा broader option है, जो ज़्यादा चीजों को cover करता है, उसको सही मानना है. And here it is A. ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ कहाँ से आया है? इंग्लिश लॉ से, है ना, विच इंट्रोड्यूस मैग्ना कार्टा. एंड इसका मतलब होता है दैट लॉज डिप्राइविंग अ पर्सन ऑफ लाइफ एंड लिबर्टी मस्ट बी फेयर, जस्ट एंड नॉन आर्बिट्ररी. तो इंडिया में पहले हम प्रोसीजर एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय लॉ फॉलो करते थे, बट आफ्टर मेनका गांधी केस वी हैव इंडियन जुडिशरी हैज shifted from procedure established by law to the due process of law in case of judicial review. तो आपका प्रोसीजर भी सही होना चाहिए अगर आप किसी की लिबर्टी को रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर रहे हो, और वो फेयर भी होना चाहिए. Then the term best defines state. See, जो state, constitution, law, ये repeated themes हैं. These are asked again and again. State क्या होता है? It is a community of person permanently occupying a territory, independent of external control, possessing a organized component. So state has 4 component, that is population, territory, sovereignty means no external control, decisions are to be taken on its own, then government. These are the 4 component of states. And state is a legal and the political entity. However, nation is not such legal entity. So you should know the difference between nation and state. Moving on, which one of the following factors constitute the best safeguard of liberty in the liberal democracy? Committed judiciary, concentration of powers, elected government, separation of powers. So here answer is separation of powers. Why? Because centralization and elected government may be significant. सेंट्रलाइजेशन तो बिल्कुल आंसर नहीं हो सकता. इट इज रॉन्ग बिकॉज सेंट्रलाइजेशन से तो ऑटोक्रेसी आ सकती है. कमिटेड जुडिशरी क्या होती है? इट्स अ रॉन्ग टर्म, इट्स अ नेगेटिव टर्म. वो किसी एक पर्टिकुलर जो लोग उसमें होते हैं उनके बेनिफिट के लिए वर्क करती है. तो दिस इज ऑल्सो अ नेगेटिव टर्म. एंड elected government is good thing, but it cannot ensure liberty. So here separation of powers means all the branches, legislative, executive, judiciary, are working in their independent domain and keeping a check on powers of each organ that can ensure the liberty and individual right. And in Article 50 of the DPSP, it is also emphasized that judiciary shall be separated from executive. Moving on, what is the position of right to property in India? It's a legal right available to any person. This is the right statement. Any person, not just citizen. तो A option incorrect है. ये कहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है? Article 300A, which changed the right to property status from fundamental right that was earlier mentioned in Article 19(1)(f) and 31. Now it has been transferred to Article 300A, and this is done via 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. So it's a legal right. However, it's a constitutional right at the same time, but it is available to both citizen and non-citizen. Next question, one common agreement between Gandhism and Marxism is final goal of the stateless society. This A is the answer. दोनों ही stateless society चाहते थे, but Gandhi ji never called for class struggle. However, Marxism proved that class struggle is going to be there, and for that we need to remove that classes. We need to do abolition. We need to go for revolution. However, abolition of private property was under Marxism. However, Gandhiji was not against the private property, and economic determinism was also one of the feature of Marxism, but not Gandhism. There was class struggle in Marxism, but not in Gandhism. ठीक है? Gandhism want class cooperation, not class struggle, but both want to achieve a society with no state. In context of India, which one of the following is a characteristic appropriate for bureaucracy? So it's an agency for implementation of the public policy. So it's an executive branch of the government that is responsible. Large role क्या है bureaucracy का? That is to implement the decision made by the elected officials, and they are selected on merit based. Moving on, in context of any country, which one of the following would be considered part of its social capital? So social capital क्या होता है? According to OECD, it is a network, shared norms, values, mutual trust that facilitate cooperation within the people staying in a part of a state. So कोई भी स्टेट के अंदर जो लोग रहते हैं वो एक साथ क्यों रहते हैं? क्योंकि उनमें एक म्यूचुअल ट्रस्ट होता है, कुछ वैल्यूज होते हैं, कुछ नेटवर्किंग होती है, ठीक है, कुछ उनकी कोहेसिवनेस होती है, तो वो उसको कहते हैं सोशल कैपिटल. इट इज नॉट जस्ट लिटरेट पीपल, इट इज नॉट जस्ट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मशीन्स, इसको हम फिजिकल कैपिटल कहते हैं. एंड इट इज नॉट जस्ट साइज ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन इन द वर्किंग एज ग्रुप, बिकॉज यू आर neglecting all other age groups and all other classes. So more holistic answer will be level of trust and harmony in the society. Next topic is salient feature of the constitution. Again, very important part. And herein The questions from schedules are asked each year. Very, very favorite topic is schedules of UPS, of the Indian Constitution for the UPSC. So see this question asked in 2022. If a particular area is brought under 5th schedule of the Constitution, which one of the statement best reflects its consequences? Answer will be that this was prevent the transfer of land of tribal people to non-tribal. तो 5th schedule किस चीज के लिए है आपका? Administrating the scheduled area to protect the tribal rights. एक होता है 5th schedule, एक होता है 6th. 6th आपका लगता है AMTM states, that is आसाम, मिजोरम, त्रिपुरा एंड मणिपुर में. However, जो 5th शेड्यूल होता है वो आपकी बाकी शेड्यूल्ड एरियाज पे लगता है. ये 6th शेड्यूल लगता है इन स्टेट्स के शेड्यूल एंड ट्राइबल एरिया. 5th लगता है बाकी शेड्यूल एरिया. शेड्यूल एरिया को कौन बताता है दैट इट विल बी अ शेड्यूल एरिया? हु डिसाइड? प्रेसिडेंट विल बी डिसाइडिंग. और इसमें रिस्ट्रिक्शंस होती हैं. ट्राइबल से नॉन ट्राइबल को जमीन नहीं दे सकते हैं वहां के रिसोर्स. 5th schedule does not calls for local self-governing body, that is part of your panchayati raj, another constitutional provision that was added by 11th and 12th schedule. तो 5th नहीं है. Being classified of as a schedule area does not change a region into union territory. ऐसा कोई चीज नहीं लिखी है कि वो union territory बन जाएगी, बट हाँ उसके लिए special governance होता है. And inclusion in the 5th schedule does not make that state a special category state. वो एक अलग क्लासिफिकेशन होती है बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमिक एंड ज्योग्राफिकल फैक्टर. तो आर्टिकल याद रखना है 244. कौन डिफाइन करता है? शेड्यूल एरिया है प्रेसिडेंट. गवर्नर विद ट्राइबल एडवाइजरी काउंसिल कैन इंट्रोड्यूस रेगुलेशंस. वहां पे कानून ला सकते हैं गवर्नर. प्रेसिडेंट डिफाइन करेंगे. एंड ये आर्टिकल कौन सा है? 244. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. नेक्स्ट इज विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इन इंडियन पॉलिटी इज एसेंशियल फीचर दैट indicates its federal character? That is your independence of judiciary is safeguarded. This is the answer. Why others are not answered? Union legislature has elected representative from constituent units. This may not be the answer. Union cabinet have elected representative from regional parties and fundamental laws. These are not answers. So फेडरल फीचर के आप पहले इंडियन पॉलिटी के फेडरल फीचर्स के कुछ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है. दोज आर डुअल गवर्नमेंट. अब तो 3 tier ऑफ गवर्नमेंट है आफ्टर 73rd and 74th एक्ट. देन डिविजन ऑफ पावर्स बिटवीन द 3 यूनियन एंड स्टेट as well as now we have 3rd tier. Then supremacy of the constitution, rigidity of the constitution that no government at the center can easily change the constitution, independent judiciary, that Supreme Court and High Courts, the division is maintained. Bicameralism means there is two houses, one Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha representing the will of the states, elected state government, independent area of governance for them, and their financial autonomy like GST, excise duty, property tax under Article 280. So these are some of the federal features of Indian polity. Moving on, consider the following statements. Constitution explicitly defines its basic structure, including federalism, secularism, fundamental rights and democracy. आपने बुक पढ़ी होगी, कहीं भी कुछ बहुत ज्यादा एक्सट्रीमली एक्सप्लिसिटली कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में नहीं डिफाइन होता. तो ऐसे एक्सट्रीम स्टेटमेंट्स यूजुअली रॉन्ग होते हैं. दिस इज इनकरेक्ट बिकॉज बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर कहीं भी डिफाइन नहीं है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में. इट्स अ जुडिशियल इनोवेशन. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोवाइड फॉर जुडिशियल रिव्यू टू प्रोटेक्ट द सिटीजन एंड अपहोल्ड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोविजन. एक्सप्लिसिटली किसी आर्टिकल में जुडिशियल रिव्यू की बात नहीं करी है, बट आर्टिकल 13 ऐसी बात बोलता है दैट implicit that for judicial review, but nothing explicitly is called written. The word judicial review is not written anywhere. Moving on, under which schedule? Again see 2019 में schedule, वही 5th schedule वाली बात आ गई. Transfer of tribal land to private parties for mining be declared null and void. That is your 5th schedule. Very favorite topic. 5th 6, 11, 12, these schedules, हर schedule के specific features you should know. तो 5th schedule, special articles 244 and 5th schedule के अंदर we administer the schedule area and tribes aims to prevent their exploitation. And here who declares schedule area under 5th schedule? Your president. And who have the power to give the regulation in accordance with the tribal advisory council? It is your governor. And then they also regulate the legal land transfers and preventing the sale of tribal land to private company. Moving on, 9th schedule, again schedule was asked in 2019. Constitution of India during prime ministership of, it was Jawaharlal Nehru. 9th schedule कब आया आपका? 1951 में, from first amendment act. And 9th schedule में वो provisions होते हैं that are saved from the judicial review. And 1951 में कौन प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे? सी, कितना इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन आया है, जवाहरलाल नेहरू. Next question, right to vote and to be elected in India is a constitution right. Article 326. फंडामेंटल राइट नहीं है, नेचुरल राइट नहीं है, लीगल राइट है. लीगल होने के साथ साथ इट इज ऑल्सो अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट. तो इट वॉज अ डिस्प्यूटेड क्वेश्चन बट यूपीएससी गेव आंसर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट बिकॉज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के आर्टिकल में मेंशन है. सो फॉर टुडे let's end this discussion and in the next part we will cover more PYQs. Thank you very much.